Hello and welcome to Radiant Realization with Namrata. Here we deep dive into captivating conversations about life. Today I have with me Gayatri Muthukrishnan. She is a self-discovery coach and she has designed the concept of SoulDiet that helps us to become a better version of ourselves. Welcome Gayatri. I am pleased to have you today.
Thank you so much, Namrata. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for a wonderful introduction.
Gayatri, two things which I'm very curious to know from you. One is what got you started in this coaching journey and the concept of SoulDiet.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for that question. So, I've been a meditator since the age of 7. Like that was one of the rituals that we had in our house. And so, uh, coming a little fast forward, I got married at the age of 21. Okay. And I was a very high performing and a high ambition, like very high ambition and high energetic girl. Okay. I've always been a president, school captain, and a go-getter, basically. And I had very high dreams, you know. And like getting married never stopped me from anything, but the circumstances were not actually uplifting for me at that point of time. At the age of 21, I got married, and then I was pursuing my master's at that time. And then I worked for a very small duration as a lecturer, and then I quit my job because I had my first baby. So it was the age of 24. I quit my job. I shifted with my husband. His job was in a very remote area. It was around 50 kilometers away from the city, right? So there was a point in my life, you know, where I did not know what was actually going through in me. I wasn't doing what actually I wanted to do in my life at that point, right? And then the picture of from outside was looking so perfect. Whenever I used to shout, like, blame, cry, or shout, throw my anger at people like my parents or my husband, I would say, like, what is this happening in my life? I'm not able to understand. They would say, your life is so perfect. Look, at the age of 24, you're married to the amazing person, you have a child, you are so secured and everything. But there was something happening within me which I was not able to identify. Okay. I was feeling disastrous within. Disastrous, something like I did not know what kind of emotions were there, right? Extreme anger, or I was continuously blaming people. Felt like a victim to life. And this made me question about, like, since I was always very spiritually connected, I used to do meditation quite often. So I sat in front of like my guru, Mother Shri Aurobindo, and it was like I was just asking this question. I know, you have brought me for some purpose out here. Like it's the purpose is not this family or raising a child, but there's something bigger than what you have brought me here. So I kept asking this question quite often to them in everyday meditation. Like my child turned 2 years to 2.5 years. Like he started going to play school for some time, and then I had this good amount of time of 1 2 hours. So I used to sit down and just ask this question: why and for what purpose I am here, and kept on asking this question for quite a while. And then when you are aligning yourself, I think the universe starts to respond in terms of the things that it show up in your life. Then very free, a lot of times, all this duration in my college days and then in my school days, I've always been like, whenever somebody has a problem, they would come to me, and then I will start speaking to them, and then I'll maybe give them a bigger picture and then explain, okay, can you do like this? And they always looked at me like how we can reach out to her when we need her for some help, kind of a stuff. So that started to happen quite often. Like after the when I was asking this question, and then was a lot of my friends started to come approach me that this is the life problem that I'm going through. Can you please help me? Or can you just make me understand what I'm going through and all stuff? Then I found one day again in my deepest meditations, I found what I was going through, and I overcame that there was kind of a emotional kind of a train that I was going through. Um, the mental health, because when you are going through such thing, you are not a good mother, you're not a good wife, you're not good to yourself either, right? You're constantly blaming for your own existence in this place. When I found that, okay, these are few things, I need to work on my emotional health, I need to work on my physiology, I need to work on my mental health. And I started practicing affirmations and gratitude. Though I knew them, I've been doing this from the age of 11. Secret was introduced to me at the age of 11. I picked up everything together to recover myself from what I was going through. And I started doing all the practices. Okay. Um, and then one fine day, I just, like one of the friend was saying she was going through a lot of stuff. And then I said, how can I help this person? Now I understand deeply spiritually that there is some kind of this body, and then there is this emotions flowing in, and then this is a brain wiring. I could create a great analogy like a building ban gaya hai, wiring ho gayi hai. So all those things were going inside me. So again, I went back and I said, what should I call this? मैं मतलब मेरे अंदर में बस एक आंसर था, to any layman I have to give this message as my purpose, that as you feed for your body, जैसे हम अपने शरीर के लिए खाते हैं कि प्रोटीन खाना है, ये खाना है, वो विटामिन खाने हैं, equally there's something which leaves your body at some point of time, which I call as soul. So उसके लिए भी खाना बहुत जरूरी है, तभी हम अपनी बॉडी को और उसको अलाइनमेंट में रख सकते हैं, और दैट इज इक्वली इम्पोर्टेंट एज वी ईट. हर दिन जैसे हम खाना खाते हैं, उसको भी खाना खिलाना बहुत जरूरी है. सो दिस वाज अ वेरी वेग, तो उसको मैंने सोल डाइट नाम दिया, विच वाज अगेन अ डाउनलोड फॉर मी. सो दिस वाज द स्टोरी ऑफ the soul diet started off. And I started off like a 21 days journey where I created practices, and every day it was my deepest meditations where I used to write every this practice, and I should do this, I should do that, and everything. So once I started off with this, I just randomly started pulling my friends into a group. फिर मैंने उनको start कराना. I did not know it as like I was a coach or something. Okay. um I never knew that it is any kind of a personal development industry, or there's a industry exists which is dedicated for it. मैं अपना बस करती चली गई, there was one point जहाँ मैं बहुत ज्यादा exploited भी feel कर रही थी. In terms of when new people, random people started joining from Facebook groups, I joined these women groups and people started coming in. थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लॉइटेड भी फील कर रही थी, कहीं पे मुझे थोड़े डिफिकल्ट इमोशंस प्रोसेस करने पड़े, बट नेवर न्यू टू टेक इट लाइक अ बिजनेस और call myself as a coach. So when COVID hit, I saw that okay, there's some kind of industry for this. मतलब ये तरीके से कहीं सिखाया जा सकता है ना, I can professionally do it and create it and take it in a very structured way out to the people. And then I started off, post COVID, I started off doing it very professionally. I did certain certifications for that. And so these were the steps as the soul diet got matured. And then I built my website, I had my webinars, and so these kind of, and then I started charging for my coaching, so that I got, better results, and then people were committed. So that's how the soul diet grew, and that is how the soul diet came into action.
It's an amazing journey, Gayatri, that you've gone through. Uh, Gayatri, what are the components of soul diet that you offer to your clients?
So what's exactly soul diet is like, it's it is like 4 dimensions of your life, right? Physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So what I work on is, except on the food, like except on like you what you eat for your body, I work on your emotional, mental, and spiritual part, which is the 90% component of what your physical life looks like, right? So I work on each and every, and SoulDiet is so designed, right? जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना कि this is the amount of protein that you have to have, grams of protein. अगर आपका इतना weight है तो उतने grams आपको protein खाने हैं, right? So once somebody goes through the SoulDiet, they get to know कि अगर ये situation आता है, so how do I calculate कि मुझे कहाँ emotional कितना, mental कितना और spiritual कितना देके मेरे physical life में how much like how can I come out in my physical life, right? That is this diet like all about.
Okay. So, taking this forward now, of this three component mental, emotional, and spiritual, how does mental fitness, how do you define mental fitness and how it helps us?
Great. So see what happens is mental fitness is not only your brain, right? It's a holistic way of looking at it. So how do you how कब बोलते कि you're not feeling like you're not feeling mentally well, right? It's not that there's something happening only in your head, right? So it's a, if you have to see mental fitness is, I think a lot is related to your happiness and joy, right? When you're not enjoying what you are doing in your life, then there are a lot of components which are not happening right, which is leading to that point, right? That means you're not eating properly, you're not sleeping properly, you're not communicating with your people in the house. So there are a lot of things which come together, right? And why is it important? I think having that balance of, I don't want to say it as balance, because balance is हम बहुत strictly उसको follow करते हैं. Let's call it as harmony, right? If you want to have harmony in terms of, ठीक है, आज मैंने, like as a mother, if you want to ask me how it affects a mother or a working professional, right? So I think a lot of things हम अपनी plate में overburden कर लेते हैं, right? And then we get overwhelmed with that. Then we have a lot of like targets to achieve, not only in the workspace but also in the houses ki aaj mere bacche ko mujhe, like I can get into a thought process, like if I have decided on a week that I have to give him at least two kind of protein meal, and I skipped that, and I can get into a very difficult point where like मैंने उसको नहीं दिया, गिल्ट ट्रिप पे जा सकती हूँ, आई कैन थिंक टू मच टू लाइक व्हाट आई शुड गिव, ही इज नॉट फीलिंग वेल, और can take so much of blame on me. I think the small components altogether creates your mental health, right? And it's very important. It's not possible that you're like always at that point of like I have a great mental health. It keeps going, but it's just that when it goes down, you should know how to bring that, right? So there could be situations which are very new in your life, which you never knew about it's going to come, that can put you into a mental stress. But then you should know how you have to come out of it. So that is how the balance and is, and then a lot of like scientifically also, your brain has a lot of work that it contributes to your mental health. That's the science I think everybody should know. Um, there was also in a brief way, I was studying about the brain, right? In the anatomy, I was doing my thesis work in terms to see how the brain and the meditation helps kids. Like मैं स्कूल में भी जाके trainings करवाती थी. So I did my whole thesis work on this ki how meditation can improve your cortex and brain की पूरी anatomy क्या होती है, brain actually करता क्या आपकी body में, आपकी life में. So it has a great impact on how you are living. So I think it's very important, a vital part कि हम अपने बारे में जब जानते हैं ना, तो ये सारी vital चीजों को जान ले. Once know how your brain is working, you can hack it like this. क्योंकि ब्रेन का काम होता है प्रोटेक्ट करना, राइट? वेरी सिंपली आई टेल यू, कुछ भी काम करने जाएंगे पहले वो प्रोटेक्ट करेगा आपको। जैसे ही प्रोटेक्ट करेगा वो कहीं सही चीजों पे भी प्रोटेक्ट कर सकता है, गलत चीजों पे भी प्रोटेक्ट कर सकता है। लाइक आई वांट, मे बी आई एम जस्ट गोना सेट अप अ गोल विच इज लाइक मेरे मेरे लेवल से थोड़ा बियॉन्ड हो, ठीक है? तो माई ब्रेन विल कन्विंस मी कि मैं वो काम ना करूं, ठीक है? अब वो जब मैं काम ना करूं आता है तो उसमें प्रोकेस्टिनेशन आ जाता है, ओवर थिंकिंग आ जाती है, मैं लेजी भी हो जाती हूँ। 10 दिन जब मैं वो काम नहीं करती, मैं खुद को सेल्फ डाउट पे डाल देती हूँ। सो इट्स जस्ट अ लेयरिंग। अब यहाँ पे हैक ये है कि मेरा ब्रेन मेरे को रोकेगा, मुझे पता है, तो मुझे ना उसकी बात थोड़ी देर के लिए अनसुनी करके भागना है। These are the kind of hacks that you should know about yourself, और तुम्हारा ब्रेन कब तुमको रोकता है। तो ये सारी चीजें अगर हमको खुद को पता होगी ना, लाइक नो अबाउट योर सेल्फ, आई थिंक लाइफ बिकम मच इजियर इन टर्म्स ऑफ फेसिंग द चैलेंजेस।
Yes, yes. This brain hack, I think it's one of the key element, right? That
या
is a necessity that we need to survive each day. Okay, so, Gayatri, now what can an individual do on a day-to-day basis so they are able to strengthen their mental health and they are mentally much stronger, so even they can fight challenges of day-to-day life easily?
फर्स्ट I'd say it's very important, right, to spend some time with themselves. देखो, it's not कि anybody who does not know about themselves, ठीक है? और today if I say okay, go and do this, might not work for everybody. Like if I say do meditation, okay, which is a great way of maintaining your mental health, but not might not work for everyone, right? For somebody it could be writing, for somebody it could be speaking, right? For somebody it could be doing an art, right? So I think everybody has to identify it. And if I have to summarize it, like what actually is the underlying process of is have some time for yourself. ये जो इसको थोड़ी देर चार्ज पे लगाते हैं ना, राइट? आई वांट एवरीबडी टू पुट योरसेल्फ ऑन दैट चार्जिंग मोड। ये जैसे चाहे कितना ही हाई एंड का क्यों ना हो, इट नीड्स दैट 20 मिनट्स। चाहे वो फास्ट चार्जिंग हो, कुछ भी हो, इट नीड्स दैट 20 मिनट्स। And we are super duper machines created by the creator. I think we need and we should. So 30 minutes charging किए बिना अगर if you want to keep running this high processor, कभी तो breakdown होगा ही, right? So I think any way where you can spend that 20 to 30 minutes, if you are traveling, right? And if you are like sitting, or if you have 30 minutes of break, right? Don't do it in the washroom. Don't think that the 30 minutes that you take in the washroom with the phone doesn't work, right? It's the energy is not good at that place. So very, and if at all it's possible, people those who connect with moon at night, sit in your balcony. If you're a morning person, please look at the sunrises or in front of the sun, because I think we are we are nature. हम भी एक इस क्रिएशन का हिस्सा है। ये पेड़ जैसे है वैसे ही हम भी है। तो हमको ना उसके साथ, जैसे हम उसके साथ एक यूनाइट होते हैं ना, हमारी हमारी अंदर की जो एनर्जीज है वो ऑटोमेटिकली एनर्जाइज हो जाती है। So these are the ways. So for a lot of people, one solution is not like I cannot give you a one liner for it. But the thing is, ये 20 से 30 मिनट्स जैसे अपने फोन को और किसी भी गैजेट को ओवरहीट होने से बंद करते हैं, गाड़ी भी चलती है ओवरहीट होती है। सो दैट 20 to 30 minutes is what this machine also needs. So that you can make it out when you know about yourself, and you know you can make your own way of handling your mental health. But this is this is the base of it. कुछ भी करो, बट वो 20 से 30 मिनट निकालो, या कुछ भी मत करो, that also works, right?
Gayatri, in your experience while dealing with client and also all your personal experience, after doing all these practices to strengthen your mental health, how has it benefited you in form, or like your benefited you in the sense your in the way you manage your emotion, the way you manage your reaction?
Amazing. Thanks for asking this. The first and the foremost thing I'll say is communicating. Um, till the age of 22, 23, maybe I think, till I started like, full-fledgedly working on myself, the only thing that I could do was fight, blame, shout at with my parents, right? Or very unpleasant way of communicating. अब वो बहुत तरीके से निकलता था. It could be crying, yelling, shouting, getting angry for nothing, right? Very unpleasant way. I could never put my, वो emotions ऐसे होते थे, तो मेरे शब्द भी क्या निकलते थे मुझे नहीं पता है, ठीक है? But I think when I started doing all of these practices, and the best thing that happened was I could speak what I was going through, or how I wanted to tackle that situation, right? If suppose I'll tell you, there was a like generally when I first said to my parents and then my friends were not that judgmental at that point, because वो लोग खुद देखे हुए थे मुझे मैं ऐसे हेल्प करती हूँ. My parents were like, क्या you gonna do this? The person who's been the worst person of getting angry, shouting, you're gonna do coaching. And it was like, had it been an older guy, they would have literally shouted back and like, how can you say this and all stuff. It was like, yeah, I think I've gone through it and I'd be the best person to teach it. And there are multiple instances, even after when I declared it, like I was like going to be following this kind of a passion and my purpose. Whenever I used to get angry, I used to get a taunt of like, you do so many things and you yourself are getting angry. So instead of a rebel, I became like there was some kind of understanding and a wiseness which grew in me, that instead of shouting, I started giving answers. And I also chose places where I want to give answer and where I want to keep quiet. And I think this was the biggest win in my life. All through my life, it had been like, when I turn back and see, it was so difficult for my parents to raise me because I was such a big, I never knew how to communicate. I had so strong emotions, and maybe just to seek attention or something, I was always a big, वो चिल्लाने वाले बच्चे थे कि, you know, very tough for my parents. So I think that was one of the biggest win. The second win was the clarity of taking decision and owning my decision. Believe me, till the age of 29, I never took any decision in my life. Agar if you give me two colors in front of me and ask which color do you like, I'll get confused. What if I pick and I lose this? What if I pick this and I lose the other one? Always in that uh, fear and lack of clarity of what I actually wanted. So that was another big win, because I think taking your own decision and then owning right or wrong, then it's like, even if I take a wrong decision, it was my decision. Now I have the power, I have the clarity of over, okay, if I learned from this, next time I won't do it. Otherwise पता है क्या होता है, हम हमेशा you always give it like, okay, that I did it because you took this decision for me and you made the wrong decision. We always have a we can pass it on this blame to somebody else. So I think that was one of the other things, like ownership in your life. So these are the two major ones, and then joy, happiness here and there, facing the challenges, facing anything that's coming up in your life, setting up goals, broadening your mindset. So a lot of stuff comes together.
Yeah, and I'm liking this conversation. Gayatri, a lot of times when this anger and overthinking all these emotions come out because we don't know how to release our emotion. So for us to know how to release, I think it is important for us to identify, right, that there are some emotions that are talking to us. I would like to know your views on this.
Correct. Okay. So the most important thing is, जैसे हम लोगों से पूछते हैं ना, how are you, खुद से पहले पूछो. At least 3 बार अपने, like you should ask yourself, how are you feeling? Your emotions are the feelings are your reflection of what's going inside, right? Ask yourself, how are you feeling? Quite often. I think that's the first step anybody can take to identify what's going within, right? To identify what's going within, if you can identify, I'm not feeling good. If you can identify, I'm feeling as if nobody is looking at me. Identifying is the first step, right? कि अगर मेरे साथ कुछ हो रहा है, I am not feeling the right way, I'm not feeling happy or joyful, energetic. Then the second thing is embracing that, okay, I am going through, because most of the times from our childhood, we are asked not to acknowledge our emotions. If you approach, like, in the childhood, if we approach our parents or maybe somebody elder to us and say, this, I'm not comfortable in this. अरे ठीक है, हम बोल रहे हैं ना, ये ऐसे ही होता है. You have to wear this. It could be a dress, right? But not acknowledging what we are going through. Not only dresses, situations. I don't feel good going to their house. I don't want to go. Or can we do something else about it? Right? The the more we are unheard at in our childhood, the traumas and then the patterns get created within us as we grow up as well. Okay? So the trauma or the discomforts that we face in our day-to-day life, we are pretty much comfortable with that. Right? Okay, this is a certain way which I'm not feeling good. It could be dressing, it could be the way your lifestyle is, right? But that discomfort has become your comfort, and within you, you are always living in that discomfort. You're not ready to even elevate or work on that. So I think first and the foremost thing is identifying, ask yourself, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling good or not? What can, then there are a lot of ways of elevating your emotions, right? And releasing what you have, traumas hai. If you are like, it's a very, if at all you are not in a good mood, and then you have a meeting to which is very important. I think there are ways to just put yourself into the high energy. Once you get to know about yourself, like for me, I can just put a 5 minute music and dance to it, and then I am on my highest energy, right? So it depends. Know yourself, what works for you. Somebody can just listen to a good melodious song. Somebody can just write something, and somebody can read some kind of a motivational quote and then just get motivated, right? It the all the magic is knowing yourself. If you know yourself, you know how you have to use this machine, right?
Yes. And Gayatri, when we have this awareness and we work on our emotions, how does it influence our relationship with our loved ones?
I think that's the best thing that happens. um Especially like when you are regulated in your emotions, I think it's not only you see your emotions, you also have the space, and आप opposite वाले को भी समझने की काफी space देते हो. Right now, once you're sorted with you have a space to look at, okay, what is the other person going through? Can I be, since we are living in a family, can I help that person? Right? Then you have that capability to uh, allow that person, give that person some space, right? Then that's a relationship. Like with, see, generally, I think in this fast paced life, right, everybody is running. And the only thing that's missing in our relationships, marital relationships, is like both the person are so occupied, they don't have space for each other to even pour. ये बंदा पूरे दिन काम करके आ रहा है, he does not have time, और वो energetically space नहीं है कि वो जो दूसरे बंदे की सारी कहानी सुन सके, right? So once we are good with our emotions, I think we create spaces for the loved ones in our life. तो हमारे पास स्पेस होता है कि उनकी भी सुन ले, या उनके साथ हम कंट्रीब्यूट कर सके उनकी लाइफ, या हम बोले वो सुने. So the communication gets very very better, right? And then I think the game is of all communication. Once you have that space of communication between two people, the relationship takes to the next level itself.
Gayatri, oh, this all techniques that you are sharing, we can do on a regular basis. But sometimes it so happens that we are put in some stressful situation. That time, all the wisdom goes for a toss. So, in such situation, how do we manage our emotions so we are not hurtful to the recipient of information or any other person who is talking to us?
Great. See, now when we say about that we ourselves are in a very vulnerable situation, right? And now if you are asking me how we will communicate to them, right? So the thing is, when you are aware of yourself, and now when you are aware of yourself, you know I'm very vulnerable, right? And there's nothing good comes out when you are vulnerable energetically, either very low. So all that comes out of your mouth is all going to be a very low energy as well, right? So the wiseness here might not work at the first time, right? I'm saying like today you learned it, but for the first time you might not be 100% wise person. You would commit some mistakes, but again if you can reflect back कि इस situation को मैं और better कैसे handle कर सकती हूँ, then go to the next time when it happens, right? Slightly better, from 10 to 20%, but maybe after fifth time you will be the person handling it the best, right? So it's not like आज मारा तो गोल हो जाएगा, ठीक है? It's like you just have to learn it gradually. You have to know yourself, because these are very deep rooted wiring that has actually happened, right? हम एक दिन में ऐसे काट नहीं सकते उसको, gradually be molded. And these are like you doing a meditation, affirmation, gratitude, and certain practices with yourself will help you become that person. Like, tell me, will you shoot somebody? No, you will not shoot somebody, because you know that's not a way to do it, because that's your very strong conditioning, right? बट हमें ये पता है कि हमसे छोटे हो तो उन पे चिल्ला सकते हैं, उन पे हाथ उठा सकते हैं, क्योंकि कुछ नहीं कर सकते वो हम पे वापस, ठीक है? हम बड़ों पे चिल्ला सकते हैं, हाथ नहीं उठा सकते हैं, ये हमारी स्ट्रॉन्ग कंडीशनिंग है. बट अगर ऐसे ही हम अगर अपने आप को थोड़ी थोड़ी तरीके से, like it's a gradual process, it's not like not a one time process, okay? So it's a gradual process. But then having that wiseness, आज मैंने शायद 0.5% better हुई कल से, maybe tomorrow 0.5%, but there'll be a day where I can, like completely handle the situation in a great way, right? So for if I have to compare myself as a mom when I was going through like very difficult situation in terms of myself, like I was not in a great mental health, handling that and now handling two kids, right? I think when I know that I'm getting into it, like, because I complete my job, then I have my sessions to take, then I have, handling a lot of, I have helps in my house, but again I have to manage them, do this, do that, and then so many multiple things keeps happening. A lot of surprises come in, surprises go out. And then there are days I'm not a very great mom, right? But then I try my best that how I can be like, the energy that I'm gonna give my kids. It's either I don't give good any kind of an energy, or I give a better energy, right? So I can take some 2 minutes of time for myself. I look at my mirror, speak to myself, say, this is the reality. Choose your battle. What battle do you want to fight? You want to be really screaming and shouting around, or you want to have a better place? So it's just a moment of, one thought that you have to practice, and then that pattern is there that कुछ भी आपके बाउंड्री से बाहर हो रहा है तो उसको वापस कैसे लेके आना, राइट, और उस चीज को हैंडल कैसे करना है. इफ यू नो द वेज ऑफ डूइंग इट, you'll definitely be the master of this.
Amazing. Uh, Gayatri, uh, Gayatri, during the day we get lot of thoughts, right? Some positive, some negative. So, in your experience of doing meditation practice for a long time, how has it helped you to uh, control your negative thinking?
Okay. First of all, I am not a very big preacher of or a believer of a positive or a negative thinking. Okay. Uh, I think only point of saying it as a negative is uh, some kind of thoughts which are not going to serve you, or are very low energy thoughts. Okay, I'll just give you an example for it. So um, again, be aware of what's going inside you, right? That means if you can identify कि आप predominantly किसके बारे में सोच रहे हो. If suppose you can, at the end of the day or beginning of the day, you set the context or you review your day कि क्या क्या हुआ, या see, अब मैं बताती हूँ. It's thinking about somebody in your family and thinking what they did is actually not a negative thought. Okay, but it becomes negative or it becomes a low energy thought constantly thinking about उसने ऐसे अगली बार ऐसे किया तो मैं ऐसे बात बोलूंगी, नहीं नहीं ऐसे तो होना ही नहीं चाहिए था. So it's actually not a negative thought. You are just thinking about maybe a event that you went, and then you are, now it becomes a low energy thought because it's not helping you grow in your life. Up you're constantly thinking about somebody, their actions, you are getting into the thought, totally different thought process, right? Rather, if you could utilize that thought for your growth, either you're learning, yeah, acha ye event pe jaake aaye, it could be very simple. Okay, these were the conversations that happened, but I did not like, next time when I meet, I'm going to have this kind of conversation. Close. The chapter is ended with a growth thought, right? So it could be very, very small things, right? Maybe it could be managing your, house helps. Constantly thinking, अगर उसने देखो कल पिछली बार भी ये किया था, वो किया था, ये किया था. Okay, I'm going to set up a rule that if you're going to do like this, if it happens next time, I'm going to end it. So it's a kind of you have to think, which is, see, thinking about your maid or thinking about your house help is not a negative thought, but it can become a low energy thought, right? Which is going to drain your energy. So now how I can bring it to a, मतलब उसको constructive कैसे बनाना है, and how you can bring it to a growth thought. So for me, I have only one logic, very straightforward. It could be people, situations, or anything, right? For very close relations, I have this: how can I be better with them, how I can grow the like how can I grow my communication better, or how I can, be in a better relation with them, right? That's one of the questions that I ask. The next question is, peoples and situations, do they help me grow in my life, or they are pulling me back? If at all they are pulling me at even a step back, how they are pulling you? They are making you think about, you know things that you're not comfortable, right? Maybe in the family you have people who you go for an event and then they start speaking about your clothes. They start speaking about, oh, why did you do that, why did you do this, you should have done this, oh, why do you have three maids, why do you have two maids? Do you really want to have these kind of conversations? Sorry, I'm not, these are not my kind of people. I take them out of my circle, right? So I think there is energy that you want to choose in, So I always choose either growth, like I always go for growth. If people are any even a drop of, you know, energy drop or they're pulling me back, it's not my circle. I just end up and then choose only what's my growth. So I think you always have to think which kind of a thought is helping you grow and which kind of a thought is pulling you back. So it's not positive, negative, it's kind of high and low energy. So you can turn any positive into a negative and any negative into a positive. That's it.
Yes. Gayatri, today all of us are busy juggling so many things, right? House, work, plus hobbies, passion, desires. So in a day which is almost jam-packed, how do we incorporate mindfulness practices so we are able to increase our self-awareness?
See, initially I would say it's a very conscious act, right? कुछ भी चीज, whenever you're starting something new, right, it's a very conscious act. That means that you have to spend some good amount of time making it an automatic way of happening in your life, right? Maybe a certain, like, we have like 21 days, 48 days, you do certain things and it becomes your habit, right? First, it's a very conscious act of you have to pull in, मतलब आप first आप पहले अपने आप को, you'll analyze your entire day, what exactly you're doing. Now we look at our day, we would, by the end of the day, and the way we communicate is like, I'm sorry, I don't really have time. But if I can sit with you and look at from the morning into the night, you'll at least take out 2 to 3 hours, right? 2 to 3 hours where you can be very productive and you can work on yourself, right? It could be time taking out from watching the reels. It could be the time taken out while you are traveling. It could be the time taken out. Maybe you're doing some kind of an unproductive work on that day. There, definitely. Because, there's one thing that you can always get inspired to. The nature is so same to every, you know, big achievers in the world. You wanna say, like, whoever is your role model, anybody you look at and say, wow, they really have an amazing thing, and wow, their life is so amazing. Here, the nature is so same to them. If they can do it, definitely you can do it. The 24 hours is same, right? That's the motivation I always carry. If I say, oh, I cannot do this, and it's like, I can do it. Let me just figure it out how I can do it, right? There could be low priority things, high priority things. Then you'll definitely make it out. It's just a slight mindset that you need, right? That if you really want to do it, damn, you'll do it. But if you really don't want to do it, you'll have million reasons for not doing it, right? It's like, agar, I'll tell you, if you have a craving of having an ice cream, right, at 12, पूरी सिटी में ढूंढ के निकाल लोगे वो आइसक्रीम कहाँ मिलेगी, ठीक है? अगर मतलब ये है कि नहीं जाना है बाहर, तो हमको हमारी बिल्डिंग से नीचे उतरने के लिए भी 100 बहाने मिल जाएंगे. सिक्योरिटी बाहर नहीं जाने देगा, अभी के टाइम में निकलेंगे, पड़ोसी क्या बोलेगा, कि मम्मी क्या बोलेगी, पापा से परमिशन लेना होगा. There will be so many. So I think it's just the way we think and then we act, right? So I think, yeah, definitely there are days where you don't get time to breathe. But if that day you can skip, you definitely have another day to compensate it, right? I don't say that every day you have 2 hours. Some days we don't have time, means you don't have time, but the next day I have 2 hours, I can definitely compensate. एक दो दिन तो ऊपर नीचे सब जगह चलता है, right? But then it's just the way we want to live. It's just you want to ask yourself, leave about the world. Can you answer yourself that, you lived a worthy life of what you wanted to do?
Okay. So, Gayatri, what I realize is that we know our answers. It is only that we are not tapping into ourselves. By doing regular mindfulness practices, how it helps in our decision making ability is what I would like to know from you.
Okay. See, exactly, mindfulness is like looking up movie running in front of you, or being agar main ye, I'm just grabbing this cup of hot water, or I'm just sipping, right? I'm being conscious that I'm holding this cup, I'm sipping the water, it's going through my, that's a level of mindfulness that I'm speaking. Mindfulness again is being present at that point, right? And then once you start to be aware of what's happening, because हम बहुत सारी चीजें अपनी लाइफ में बिल्कुल ऑटो मोड पे करते हैं, right? We really don't want actually look at each teeth and brush our teeth. We don't बात like हर जगह हम नाखून तक में इतने डिटेल्स में नहीं नहाते हैं, right? Every day we don't do that. So I think be very small practices. खाना खाते वक्त, I तो tell, right, watching TV and having phone in the hand has become another way of eating altogether, right? Even the kids watch mobile and eat. I think they are being, the mindfulness and the taste, everything has gone. They even don't know what's going inside, right? Traveling used to be such a beautiful thing. Now you get into any public transport, I fail to see anybody without their earphones or a Netflix or an Amazon Prime or a YouTube video, right? I think the interaction itself has gone. So in terms of, if you can, bring in mindfulness, sorry, I think what happens is, जब कोई कॉइन पानी में डालते हैं ना, और उसमें बहुत सारे स्प्लैशेस कर दो, right? Can you see the coin clearly? No. But if the water is still, you can definitely see the coin, right? So I think to see the reality of life, you have to bring that stillness somewhere. And that stillness comes when you are actually being aware at that point. Right? See, there could be a lot of places where, which like we are hustling right up, when we have a 1 hour time frame, and then we are doing a lot of stuff under that 1 hour. It's not very possible that you can be very mindful, and but start practicing it in a very broader time frame, right? Maybe if you are traveling, remove your headphones and look around and see where you are going, right? Look at people's faces, look, at least become aware of where you are going, right? Become aware of what your body is trying to speak. I think that's the best thing. You can just sit down, do nothing, and just listen to your body, what it's saying, right? These kind of mindfulness brings a lot of clarity in your life, right? Once you have clarity, right, now what's this mindfulness, when you are into that phase of like being calm and composed and being aware of what's happening, you can see what's happening in your life, you are being aware of that moment, what you are doing. I think a lot of power is what you are gaining in your life. And once you have power, you take action, right? अगर यही चीज खत्म हो जाती है, and then we only complain कि मैं action ही नहीं ले रही हूँ मेरी life में, that's the the missing part. So that's very important.
And Gayatri, for any any time we think that we want to become a better version of ourselves, one thing that is usually spoken about is self-awareness and self-discovery. So how do we go on this journey so that we are more authenticate to ourselves? Because subconsciously we are lying to ourselves also.
Give me okay, I would like for you to little bit give me a deeper sense of this question, like
Okay.
how do you want me to explain this in terms of what kind of a lie you are saying?
So I would say for me to be very authenticate to myself, I would say, okay, I am a very honest person, and I always say truth. But sometimes there are this subtle way where we are lying. Like we don't, we say, okay, yeah, this is fine, but we know that it is not fine. So what can we do so that we are authenticate to at least ourselves, and then we can start building authenticity with our loved ones, and then the greater world around.
Thank you. Thank you for this question. That's great. I think accepting your flaws and then self discovery is not about you are a Mahan. You are not a Mahan. Knowing who you are is Mahan, I think. Right? Uh, like once you discover, discover in the sense, since I think, you know what, discover these things has to be coming up from the childhood. As we are taught A, B, C, D, and red, blue, green colors, these things should be taught to us in the childhood. Okay, what you like, what you dislike, and what are your strengths, weaknesses, जो हम लोगों को interview में पूछा जाता है 25 साल में. So I think these are the things which you should be inculcating at the childhood. So coming back to your question, like how, uh, like you have to be true to yourself. Accept गुस्सा आता है. Accept it. Until unless you accept it, you're bluffing yourself. वो बोलते हैं ना, डॉक्टर से और पुलिस से कभी चोर नहीं, मतलब सॉरी, झूठ नहीं बोलना चाहिए. इट्स द सेम थिंग. यू शुड नॉट लाई टू योरसेल्फ. किस like you are cheating your own self, and I think that would be a very a blanketed way of discovering yourself. You are not the perfect, or you, I think nobody is perfect, and accepting that, you know, uh, I think the imperfection is the perfect way of living, right? Except, like, you know what? Accepting your body, accepting the way you look. There's nothing measured and said like this has to be this much, right? Your eye has to be this much, your eyebrow has to be this much. Whatever you are made of, you are beautiful the way you are, right? So that's the same way the values that you build, and the 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 attributes that you have, right? All are something that you should be owning. And then the things that are good, enhance it. Things that are not good, work on them. Simple, right? So that's how we should be creating and identifying.
Okay. How do we identify our values?
Yeah. Okay. So now the place where you are feeling the disintegration, you're not feeling aligned, right? There could be a difference in the value systems of you, your husband, your family, right? There could be a lot of places where you feel disconnected, like you feel yourself forcing yourself to do it, right? These are the places where you have different values. And then how you can identify your values are things that makes you feel while you do that, that is happiness, right? For um for a lot of people it could be like, you know, giving giving to the people, like helping, uh doing whatever you do, you just have to give it back to the people, or you just have to put it out, could be a value, right? And a lot of people would be like, if you've learned it, you can just start working. How you can improve on yourself, just keep it to yourself. It's like their value. It's nothing wrong. Values are not right or wrong. I think values that serve, help you grow, and is not hurting anybody is the right value, right? If anything other than this is like hurting anybody, taking revenge, you know, these are the wrong values, right? We don't have the right to do it, right? So see, whatever you do, you feel happy, you feel your thoughts are growing towards it, is what your values are.
Agreed. Gayatri, the concept of soul diet, the four components that you said: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. So, what can we do so that we are able to integrate all the components in our day-to-day life and have a balanced life?
Yeah, sure. as we eat for our body, right? As we eat, you, it said like in a plate, you just divide, have this carb, this kind of protein, and have this fiber and everything. Similarly, there is a way that in your entire day, you have these, all this energy at some point and some proportion to yourself, that it is making you a healthier version, the better version, the most aware version of who you are, right? So I think like it works differently for everybody. But ideally it's like an early morning, but can be a midday, it can be a night. It can work anyway, but the only thing is it depends on your work routine, right? Somebody who's working at night can definitely do it in the day. Person who's working during the day can definitely do it in the morning, right? So it's like putting your phone on charge, right? It does not have exactly the timings, but yes, if you really want to go serve this body in a very right way, right? It again works along with the nature. The sunrise, sunset, the moonrise, right? If when you work deeper on yourself, you can very much align yourself with the sunrises and sunsets. So, but to start with, if we tell that you have to align with the sun, I think nobody will even take the first step. But to begin with, I would say do whatever is comfortable for you. But then if you really can align yourself with the nature, is the best way of helping this body, which is the nature again, to be in its best version.
Many people who are just getting introduced to this concept and they want to start from today or from the day they listen to this podcast, what small change would you recommend them doing as a step one so they are able to build an integration of all this component in their life?
Beautiful. So I think first question, ask yourself, who am I? Right? The moment you ask this, who am I, and you start to find the answers, I think your journey starts from there, right? When you are in the quest to know about yourself, and the questions that you have will lead you to your best version, because the questions that you would ask and the journey that you would choose to go on is the best journey I think you would create for yourself as this whole entire life. It's not that you're like leaving everything and going, but that journey is like, every day. Then you ask like, who am I? Why is this happening with me? And then asking this why I'm doing what I am doing. All these questions that you ask to yourself. And the first and the foremost question is, who am I? What I am doing here? If you can ask these questions, answer them, and then, go to the next, whatever, wherever you get stuck with the answer, just start your journey from there. Like, I don't know who I am, or I don't know why I'm feeling this certain way. Then I think your answer and your journey begins from there.
Yes. Gayatri, I would say this is an amazing concept of soul diet. And with this, you've introduced us to many facets of our day-to-day life, which we take it for granted or where we don't act consciously. I'd say thank you so much for coming and sharing your views. It's truly amazing to listen to the integration and how we can make our life better.
Thank you
And
so
so, to all the audience who are listening to this, I would say, please let us know one thing that you loved about our conversation today. Put that in the comment box below. I personally read and respond to each of those comments. I'm looking forward to listening to your views. Thank you.